The grand estate of the wealthy and influential Richardson family was shrouded in darkness. The sound of rain pattering against the windows was the only soundtrack to the eerie silence. But the tranquility was short-lived. A scream pierced the air, followed by the sound of footsteps rushing towards the master bathroom. The camera panned across the opulent room, revealing a bathtub filled with crimson water. Alexandra Lexi Richardson, the young and beautiful daughter-in-law, floated lifelessly, her pale skin contrasting against the deep red. Detective Ethan Thompson was summoned to the estate to investigate the murder. As he arrived, the Richardson family gathered in the grand living room, their faces a mix of shock and fear. Harrison Richardson, Lexi's husband, seemed particularly shaken. "When was the last time you saw your wife alive?" Detective Thompson asked, his eyes narrowing as he watched Harrison's reaction. Harrison's hands trembled as he gripped his whiskey glass. "Last night. She said she was going to take a bath. I fell asleep." Detective Thompson's gaze lingered on Harrison, unsure if he was telling the truth. As he scanned a room, he noticed the overbearing mother-in-law, Catherine Richardson, watching him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. The investigation led Detective Thompson to Lexi's phone, where he discovered a cryptic message: "Meet me at midnight. No one must know." Signed with just an initial, A. As he confronted the family, Emily, the younger sister, hesitated before revealing a shocking secret. Lexi was digging into something she shouldn't have: family embezzlement, illegal dealings, maybe worse. The detective's mind reeled as he pieced together the evidence. Whoever it was, they wanted Lexi dead. And the Richardson family seemed to be hiding more secrets than they were letting on. As the investigation continued, Detective Thompson revisited the crime scene, where he discovered a faint trace of nail polish on the bathtub's edge. It was fresh, meaning the killer was in the room long after Lexi died. Suddenly, a glass vase was hurled at his head. He dodged, grabbing his gun, and turned to face the attacker. It was Catherine Richardson, her eyes cold and calculating. "She was going to ruin everything," Catherine said calmly, as if justifying the murder. Detective Thompson's grip on his gun tightened. "So you killed her?" Catherine sighed, stepping closer. "I tried to warn her, but she wouldn't listen. She had to go. Just like the others." "The others?" Detective Thompson's blood ran cold. How many secrets did this family hold? As Catherine was taken away by the police, she whispered, "You think you've solved it, detective? This is just the beginning." The camera panned out, revealing the Richardson family's faces, unreadable and shrouded in secrecy. Detective Thompson knew that this case was far from over. It was just the start of something much darker. As Detective Thompson watched Catherine being taken away, he couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to the story. The Richardson family seemed to be hiding secrets, and he was determined to uncover them. He turned to Harrison, who was watching the scene with a mixture of shock and horror. "I need to ask you some more questions," Detective Thompson said. Harrison nodded, still looking stunned. "Of course. Anything." Detective Thompson led Harrison to a quiet room in the estate, where he began to ask him more questions. "Can you tell me more about your relationship with Lexi?" he asked. Harrison hesitated, looking uncomfortable. "We had our ups and downs, like any couple, but we loved each other." Detective Thompson raised an eyebrow. Really? Because from what I've gathered, Lexi was planning to leave you. Harrison's eyes widened in shock.
Who told you that?
Detective Thompson smiled. Let's just say I have my sources. So, is it true? Harrison sighed, looking defeated. Yes, it's true. Lexi was planning to leave me, but I didn't kill her, I swear. Detective Thompson studied Harrison's face, trying to read his expression. He wasn't sure if he believed him. Just then, his phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Look closer at Emily, it read. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. Who was sending him these texts? And what did they know about Emily? He decided to investigate further. I need to speak with Emily, he told Harrison. Harrison nodded, looking worried. Of course. I'll go get her. As Harrison left the room, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel that he was getting closer to the truth. But he also knew that he had to be careful. The Richardson family was full of secrets, and he didn't know who he could trust. When Emily arrived, Detective Thompson asked her a series of questions. She seemed nervous, but he couldn't tell if she was hiding something. Just as he was about to let her go, he noticed something strange. A small tattoo on her wrist. It looked like a letter, A. Detective Thompson's eyes locked onto Emily's. What does that tattoo mean? He asked. Emily's eyes widened in fear. I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. But Detective Thompson knew that she was lying. The tattoo was a clue, and he was determined to find out what it meant. As he left the estate, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel that he was in for a long and twisted ride. The Richardson family was full of secrets, and he was determined to uncover them all. Detective Thompson's mind was racing as he left the Richardson estate. The tattoo on Emily's wrist was a clear clue, but he needed to know more. He decided to pay a visit to the local tattoo parlor to see if anyone remembered Emily getting the tattoo. As he arrived at the parlor, he showed the owner, a gruff but friendly man named Max, a picture of the tattoo. Max's eyes widened in recognition. Yeah, I remember that tattoo, Max said. It's a custom design. The girl who got it was real secretive about it, too. Detective Thompson's ears perked up. What do you mean? Max leaned in, lowering his voice. She paid cash and she didn't want anyone to know her name. But I remembered her face. It was Emily Richardson. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. Did she say what the tattoo meant? Max shook his head. Nah, she just said it was a symbol of her freedom. But I got the feeling it was more than that. Detective Thompson thanked Max and left the parlor, his mind racing with possibilities. What did the tattoo really mean? And what was Emily's involvement in Lexi's murder? As he walked back to his car, he noticed a figure watching him from across the street. It was a woman with long, curly hair and a familiar face. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he realized who it was. It was Samantha, Lexi's best friend. Samantha quickly crossed the street and approached Detective Thompson. I've been trying to reach you, she said, her voice urgent. I have information about Lexi's murder. Detective Thompson's ears perked up. What is it? Samantha hesitated, looking around nervously. I don't feel safe talking here. Can we go somewhere else? Detective Thompson nodded, and together they walked to a nearby coffee shop. As they sat down at a table, Samantha began to tell her story. Lexi was in trouble, Samantha said, her voice barely above a whisper. She had discovered something big, something that could bring down the Richardson family, and she was going to expose them. Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. What did she discover? Samantha hesitated, looking around nervously again. I don't know if I should say, but I think it has something to do with the family's business dealings. Lexi was investigating some shady transactions, and she was getting close to the truth. Detective Thompson's mind was racing. He knew he had to investigate the Richardson family's business dealings further. But he also knew that he had to be careful. The Richardson family was powerful, and they would stop at nothing to keep their secrets safe. As he left the coffee shop with Samantha, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel that he was in for a long and dangerous ride. But he was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. As Detective Thompson and Samantha walked out of the coffee shop, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The Richardson family's secrets seemed to be getting more and more complex, and he knew that he had to be careful. Samantha, I need to ask you something, Detective Thompson said, his voice low and serious. Do you think Lexi's murder is connected to the Richardson family's business dealings? Samantha hesitated, looking around nervously. I don't know for sure, but I think it's possible. Lexi was getting close to something, and I think the family might have seen her as a threat. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. I see. Well, I'm going to need to investigate the family's business dealings further. Can you tell me more about what Lexi was investigating? Samantha nodded, pulling out a small notebook from her purse. Lexi was looking into some suspicious transactions involving the family's company, Richardson Industries. She thought that they might be involved in some kind of money laundering or embezzlement scheme. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he took the notebook from Samantha. This is great information. I'll make sure to look into it. As they parted ways, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of determination. He was going to get to the bottom of the Richardson family's secrets, no matter what it took. He spent the rest of the day investigating Richardson Industries, poring over financial records, and interviewing employees. And what he found was shocking. It seemed that the Richardson family was involved in a massive embezzlement scheme, using their company to launder millions of dollars. And Lexi had been getting close to exposing them. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he realized the truth. The Richardson family had motive to kill Lexi, and they had the means to cover it up. But he still needed proof, and he knew just where to find it. He headed back to the Richardson estate, determined to confront the family with the evidence he had found. But as he arrived, he was met with a surprise. The family was gone, and the estate was empty. But on the kitchen counter, Detective Thompson found a note addressed to him. "You'll never take us down," it read. "We'll always be one step ahead." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he realized the truth. The Richardson family was on the run, and they would stop at nothing to avoid justice. But Detective Thompson was determined to catch them. He was in for the chase of his life. Detective Thompson's eyes scanned the empty estate, his mind racing with the implications of the note. He knew that the Richardson family was powerful and well-connected, but he was determined to bring them to justice. He quickly called for backup and began to search the estate for any clues that might lead him to the family. As he searched, he noticed that the family's cars were still parked in the driveway, but their personal belongings were gone. "It looks like they planned this escape carefully," Detective Thompson said to himself. Just then his phone rang. It was the police chief. "Thompson, We got a problem, the chief said. The Richardson family has connections all the way to the top. We're getting pressure to drop the case. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. I'm not dropping the case, Chief. I have evidence that the Richardson family is involved in embezzlement and murder. I'm going to see this through to the end. The chief sighed. All right, Thompson. But be careful. You're playing with fire here. Detective Thompson nodded, even though the chief couldn't see him. I'll be careful, Chief. But I'm not backing down. As he hung up the phone, Detective Thompson knew that he had to move fast. He needed to find the Richardson family before they could cover their tracks completely. He decided to pay a visit to the family's business partner, a wealthy investor named Marcus Wellington. Maybe Wellington knew something about the family's whereabouts. As Detective Thompson arrived at Wellington's office, he was greeted by a receptionist who looked nervous. Can I help you? She asked. I'm here to see Marcus Wellington, Detective Thompson said. It's urgent. The receptionist nodded and disappeared into the back office. A few minutes later, Wellington emerged, looking calm and collected. Detective Thompson, Wellington said. What can I do for you? Detective Thompson got straight to the point. I'm looking for the Richardson family. Do you know where they are? Wellington's expression didn't change, but Detective Thompson noticed a faint flicker in his eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, Wellington said. The Richardson family is a respected and law-abiding family. I'm sure they're not involved in anything unseemly. Detective Thompson raised an eyebrow. Save it, Wellington. I know all about the Richardson family's little secrets. And I know that you're involved too. Wellington's smile faltered for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. I think you're mistaken, Detective, Wellington said. I'm just a businessman trying to make a living. I don't know anything about the Richardson family's extracurricular activities. Detective Thompson leaned in, his eyes locked on Wellington's. I'm not buying it, Wellington, he said. You're going to tell me what you know one way or another. Wellington's eyes flickered again, and for a moment, Detective Thompson thought he saw a glimmer of fear. But then, Wellington's expression hardened, and he stood up. I think our conversation is over, Detective, Wellington said. I have nothing more to say to you. Detective Thompson stood up, his eyes never leaving Wellington's face. This isn't over, Wellington, he said. I'll be back, and next time, I won't be so polite. As Detective Thompson left Wellington's office, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was getting close to something big. He decided to pay a visit to the police station's financial expert, a brilliant but eccentric analyst named Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee was a small, bespectacled woman with a mop of curly hair and a passion for numbers. She listened intently as Detective Thompson filled her in on the case. Yes, the Richardson family, Dr. Lee said, her eyes lighting up. I've been following their financial dealings for months. They're a clever bunch, but they're not as slick as they think they are. Detective Thompson leaned forward, his eyes locked on Dr. Lee's. What do you mean? Dr. Lee smiled, a mischievous glint in her eye. I mean that I've found a trail of financial breadcrumbs that leads straight to the Richardson family's doorstep. They're involved in a massive money laundering scheme, and I think I can prove it. Detective Thompson's eyes widened in excitement. That's exactly what I needed to hear, Dr. Lee. Can you show me the evidence? Dr. Lee nodded, her fingers flying across her computer keyboard. Of course, Detective. Let me show you the trail of money that leads to the Richardson family's dirty secrets. As Dr. Lee began to explain the complex financial transactions, Detective Thompson's eyes grew wide with amazement. He had never seen anything like this before. The Richardson family's scheme was massive, involving millions of dollars and a web of shell companies and offshore accounts. But as he listened to Dr. Lee's explanation, Detective Thompson realized that there was something more to the case. Something that didn't quite add up. "Dr. Lee, can I ask you something?" Detective Thompson said, his eyes narrowing. "Of course, Detective," Dr. Lee replied. "What's the motive behind the Richardson family's scheme?" Detective Thompson asked. "Why would they risk everything to launder millions of dollars?" Dr. Lee's expression turned thoughtful. "That's a good question, Detective. I think the motive goes beyond just greed. I think there's something more sinister at play here." Detective Thompson's eyes locked onto Dr. Lee's. "What do you mean?" Dr. Lee leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think the Richardson family is involved in something much bigger than just money laundering. I think they're involved in a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. He had never suspected that the case would lead to something so massive. But he knew that he had to investigate further. He had to uncover the truth behind the Richardson family's scheme. As he left Dr. Lee's office, Detective Thompson felt a sense of determination wash over him. He was going to get to the bottom of this case no matter what it took. He was going to uncover the truth behind the Richardson family's conspiracy. Detective Thompson's mind was racing as he left Dr. Lee's office. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. A conspiracy that went all the way to the top? It sounded like something out of a movie, but as he thought about it, he realized that it made sense. The Richardson family's scheme was too big, too complex, to be just about money laundering. There had to be something more to it. He decided to pay a visit to the police chief to see if he knew anything about the conspiracy. As he arrived at the chief's office, he could see that the chief was already aware of the latest developments. "Thompson, I hear you've been digging deeper into the Richardson case," the chief said, his expression serious. "Yes, sir," Detective Thompson replied. "I think I've uncovered something big, a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top." The chief nodded, his eyes narrowing. "I know what you're talking about, Thompson, and I have to warn you, this is bigger than you think. There are people involved who will stop at nothing to keep this quiet." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. "Who are we talking about, sir?" The chief leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "We're talking about the mayor, Thompson, and possibly even the governor. This conspiracy goes all the way to the top, and we're not sure who we can trust." Detective Thompson's mind was reeling. He had never suspected that the case would lead to something so big. But he knew that he had to see it through. He had to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. "I'll be careful, sir," Detective Thompson said, his voice firm. "But I have to ask, what's the next step? How do we take down the Richardson family and the people involved in the conspiracy?" The chief nodded, a determined look on his face. "We'll work with the FBI to gather evidence and build a case. And then we'll take them down one by one." Detective Thompson nodded, a sense of determination washing over him. He was ready to take on the Richardson family and the people involved in the conspiracy. He was ready to uncover the truth and bring justice to the victims. As he left the chief's office, Detective Thompson felt a sense of pride and purpose. He was a detective, and it was his job to solve crimes and bring justice to the people. And he was going to do just that, no matter what it took. But as he walked out of the police station, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. He looked around, but he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. He shrugged it off and continued walking. But the feeling persisted, and he couldn't help but wonder if he was in danger. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Detective Thompson," a voice said. "You're getting close to the truth. But be careful. You're not the only one who's looking for answers." The line went dead, and Detective Thompson was left standing there, wondering who had just called him and what they wanted. Detective Thompson's mind was racing as he tried to process the mysterious phone call. Who was behind it and what did they want? He decided to ignore the call for now and focus on the case. As he walked back to his car, he noticed a piece of paper on the windshield. It was a note, written in the same handwriting as the previous notes. "Look closer at the Richardson family's business dealings," the note read. "You'll find the key to unlocking the conspiracy." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he read the note. Who was behind these notes, and how did they know so much about the case? He decided to investigate the Richardson family's business dealings further. He spent the rest of the day reviewing financial records and interviewing witnesses. And what he found was shocking. The Richardson family was involved in a massive money laundering scheme, using their business to funnel millions of dollars into offshore accounts. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. As Detective Thompson dug deeper, he discovered that the Richardson family was also involved in a massive conspiracy involving corrupt government officials and business leaders. The conspiracy went all the way to the top, and Detective Thompson knew that he had to be careful. He decided to share his findings with the police chief and the FBI. Together, they could build a case against the Richardson family and bring them to justice. But as Detective Thompson was about to leave the police station, he received another phone call. "Detective Thompson, you're getting close to the truth," the voice said. "But you're not the only one who's looking for answers. Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th and Main at midnight if you want to know the truth." The line went dead, and Detective Thompson was left standing there, wondering who was behind the call and what they wanted. He looked at his watch and saw that it was already 11 p.m. He had to decide whether to go to the meeting or not. As he stood there, weighing his options, he knew that he had to take the risk. He had to know the truth. "I'll be there," he said to himself, making up his mind. He grabbed his gun and headed out into the night, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As Detective Thompson arrived at the old warehouse on 5th and Main, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was walking into a trap. The building was abandoned and looked like it had been out of use for years. He cautiously made his way inside, his gun drawn and his eyes scanning the dimly lit space. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, dressed in a black coat and hat. She looked familiar, but Detective Thompson couldn't quite place her. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice firm but controlled. The woman smiled, a sly smile that sent a shiver down Detective Thompson's spine. "My name is not important," she said. "What's important is what I know. And what I know is that you're getting close to the truth." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. "What truth?" The woman laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. "The truth about the Richardson family," she said. "The truth about their business dealings and their connections to the government. The truth about the conspiracy that goes all the way to the top." Detective Thompson's mind was racing. Who was this woman, and how did she know so much? "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice firm. The woman smiled again, her eyes glinting in the dim light. "I want to help you," she said. "I want to help you bring down the Richardson family and expose the conspiracy. But I need your help in return." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. "What do you need from me?" The woman hesitated, her eyes darting around the room as if she was afraid of being overheard. "I need you to trust me," she said. "I need you to believe me when I tell you that I'm on your side."
Can you do that?
Detective Thompson hesitated, unsure of what to do. But something about the woman's words resonated with him.
He decided to take a chance.
"Yes," he said. "I'll trust you. But you have to promise me one thing." The woman's eyes locked onto his. "What's that?" Detective Thompson's voice was firm. "You have to promise me that you'll tell me the truth. No more secrets, no more lies. Can you promise me that?" The woman nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I promise," she said. "I'll tell you the truth, no matter what it costs." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. He wasn't sure if he could trust her, but he was willing to take the risk. "Okay," he said. "Let's get started. What's the first thing you need to tell me?" The woman took a deep breath, her eyes locked onto his. "The first thing I need to tell you," she said, "is that the Richardson family is not what they seem. They're not just corrupt businessmen. There's something much more sinister." Detective Thompson's eyes widened as the woman's words hung in the air. What did she mean? What could the Richardson family possibly be involved in that was so sinister? He leaned forward, his eyes locked onto the woman's. "Tell me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What are they involved in?" The woman hesitated, her eyes darting around the room as if she was afraid of being overheard. She leaned in closer to Detective Thompson, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're involved in human trafficking," she said. "They're using their business as a front to smuggle people into the country and sell them into slavery." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. He had suspected that the Richardson family was involved in something big, but he had never imagined anything like this. "How do you know this?" he asked, his voice firm. The woman hesitated, her eyes dropping to the floor. "I used to work for them," she said. "I was one of their accountants. But when I discovered what they were doing, I knew I had to get out. I've been hiding ever since, trying to gather evidence to bring them down." Detective Thompson's mind was racing. He knew that he had to act fast, to get the woman into protective custody and start building a case against the Richardson family. But as he turned to leave, the woman grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. "There's something else. Something that could change everything." Detective Thompson turned back to her, his eyes locked onto hers. "What is it?" he asked. The woman hesitated, her eyes darting around the room again. "I have proof," she said. "Proof that the Richardson family is not just involved in human trafficking, but that they're also connected to a much larger conspiracy. A conspiracy that goes all the way to the top of the government." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. He knew that he had stumbled into something much bigger than he had ever imagined. "What kind of proof?" he asked, his voice firm. The woman smiled, a small, determined smile. "I have documents," she said. "Documents that show the Richardson family's connections to the government. Documents that show the extent of their involvement in human trafficking. And documents that show the identity of the person who is behind it all." Detective Thompson's eyes locked onto hers. "Who is it?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman hesitated, her eyes darting around the room one last time. "It's the mayor," she said. "The mayor is the one who is behind it all." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. The mayor? He couldn't believe it. He had always thought of the mayor as a respected and honest public official. He took a deep breath and tried to process the information. He knew that he had to be careful, that he had to make sure that he had enough evidence to take down the mayor and the Richardson family. "Okay," he said, his voice firm. "I need to see the documents. And I need to know more about the mayor's involvement." The woman nodded, a small smile on her face. "I have the documents right here," she said, pulling out a small folder from her bag. As Detective Thompson took the folder, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and trepidation. He knew that he was about to uncover a web of corruption and deceit that went all the way to the top. He opened the folder and began to read through the documents. As he did, his eyes widened in shock and disgust. The documents showed a clear pattern of corruption and deceit, with the mayor and the Richardson family at the center of it all. He looked up at the woman, his eyes locked onto hers. "This is incredible," he said. "But I need to know more. I need to know how deep this goes and who else is involved." The woman nodded, a determined look on her face. "I'll tell you everything I know," she said. "But we have to be careful. We can't let the mayor or the Richardson family find out what we're doing." Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with the implications of what he had just learned. He knew that he had to be careful, that he had to make sure that he had enough evidence to take down the mayor and the Richardson family. But he also knew that he couldn't do it alone. He needed to assemble a team of trusted investigators and lawyers, people who could help him navigate the complex web of corruption and deceit. He looked at the woman, a determined look on his face. "Let's do this," he said. "Let's take down the mayor and the Richardson family and bring them to justice." The woman smiled, a small, determined smile. "Let's do it," she said. Detective Thompson and the woman, whose name was Sarah, spent the rest of the night gathering evidence and building a case against the mayor and the Richardson family. They worked tirelessly, poring over documents and interviewing witnesses. As the sun began to rise, Detective Thompson knew that they had enough evidence to take to the district attorney. He called his team together, and they headed to the DA's office. The DA, a no-nonsense woman named Rachel, listened intently as Detective Thompson laid out the case. Her eyes widened as she saw the evidence, and she knew that they had a slam-dunk case. "I'll issue the warrants," she said. "Let's get the mayor and the Richardson family in custody." Detective Thompson and his team worked quickly to execute the warrants. They arrived at the mayor's mansion just as he was finishing up a press conference. The mayor's face turned white as Detective Thompson handcuffed him and read him his rights. "You're under arrest for corruption, bribery, and human trafficking," Detective Thompson said. The mayor's eyes darted back and forth as he realized the gravity of the situation. "This is a mistake," he stammered. "I'm innocent." Detective Thompson just smiled. "We'll let the judge decide that," he said. As they led the mayor away in handcuffs, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. They had done it. They had taken down the corrupt mayor and the Richardson family. But as they arrived at the police station, Detective Thompson's phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Detective Thompson," a voice said. You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. Who is this? He demanded. The voice just laughed. You'll find out soon enough, it said. Just remember, you're not the only one who's been playing this game. The line went dead, and Detective Thompson was left staring at his phone in confusion. Who was behind the call? And what did they mean by the war is far from over? He shook his head, pushing the thoughts aside. He had a job to do, and he was going to see it through. He turned to his team and nodded. Let's get to work, he said. We've got a lot of evidence to sort through, and I want to make sure that we've got a solid case against the mayor and the Richardson family. His team nodded, and they got to work. But Detective Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that they were just scratching the surface of something much bigger. Something that would change everything. As the days went by, Detective Thompson and his team worked tirelessly to build a solid case against the mayor and the Richardson family. They pored over evidence, interviewed witnesses, and followed up on leads. But despite their progress, Detective Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something. He kept thinking back to the mysterious phone call and the voice that had said, "The war is far from over." He decided to share his concerns with his team. Guys, I think we're missing something, he said. I keep thinking about that phone call, and I think there's more to this case than we're seeing. His team looked at him curiously. What do you mean? One of them asked. I mean, think about it, Detective Thompson said. The mayor and the Richardson family are just pawns in a much bigger game. There's someone else pulling the strings, someone who's been manipulating them from behind the scenes. His team nodded, intrigued. Who do you think it is? One of them asked. Detective Thompson shook his head. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Let's dig deeper, see if we can find any connections between the mayor and the Richardson family and anyone else who might be involved. His team nodded, and they set to work. They spent hours poring over documents, interviewing witnesses, and following up on leads. And then, just as they were about to give up for the day, they got a hit. A small detail, easily missed, but one that could change everything. Detective Thompson, I think I found something, one of his team members said, her voice excited. Detective Thompson turned to her, his heart racing. What is it? The team member hesitated, her eyes scanning the document in front of her. It's a financial transaction, she said. A large sum of money, transferred from the mayor's account to a shell company. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. A shell company? What's the name of the company? The team member hesitated again, her eyes scanning the document. It's called Eclipse Enterprises, she said. Detective Thompson's eyes widened. Eclipse Enterprises? He had heard of that company before. It was a company that had been linked to several high-profile scandals, including a major money laundering scheme. He turned to his team, his voice urgent. We need to investigate Eclipse Enterprises, he said.
Now.
His team nodded, and they set to work. They spent the rest of the night digging into Eclipse Enterprises, following a trail of financial transactions and shell companies. And what they found was shocking. Eclipse Enterprises was just the tip of the iceberg, a small part of a much larger conspiracy that went all the way to the top. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he realized the truth. They had stumbled into something much bigger than they had ever imagined, something that could bring down the entire government. He turned to his team, his voice barely above a whisper. We have to be careful, he said. We're playing with fire here. His team nodded, their eyes wide with fear. They knew that they were in over their heads, but they also knew that they couldn't back down now. They had to see this through, no matter what it took. As Detective Thompson and his team continued to investigate Eclipse Enterprises, they discovered that the company was just a small part of a massive network of shell companies and offshore accounts. They found that the network was controlled by a group of powerful individuals, including politicians, businessmen, and even some law enforcement officials. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he realized the extent of the conspiracy. "This is huge," he said to his team. "We're talking about a massive web of corruption that goes all the way to the top." His team nodded in agreement, their faces grim. They knew that they were taking a huge risk by investigating this case, but they also knew that they couldn't ignore it. As they continued to dig deeper, they discovered that the conspiracy was even more complex than they had initially thought. They found that the group of powerful individuals was not only involved in corruption and money laundering, but also in human trafficking and other serious crimes. Detective Thompson's team worked tirelessly to gather evidence and build a case against the conspirators. They knew that it wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to see justice served. As they got closer to the truth, they began to receive threatening messages and warnings to back off the case. But Detective Thompson and his team refused to be intimidated. They knew that they were fighting for something much bigger than themselves. They were fighting for justice, for the truth, and for the rights of the victims. Finally, after months of investigation, they were ready to make their move. They had gathered enough evidence to take down the conspirators and bring them to justice. Detective Thompson and his team were nervous, but determined as they prepared to make the arrests. They knew that it would be a difficult and dangerous operation, but they were ready for it. As they arrived at the location where the conspirators were hiding, they could feel the tension in the air. They knew that this was it, the moment of truth. Detective Thompson took a deep breath and nodded to his team. "Let's do this," he said. And with that, they moved in, ready to take down the conspirators and bring them to justice. As they entered the location, they were met with a scene of chaos. The conspirators were frantically trying to destroy evidence and escape, but Detective Thompson and his team were too quick. They swiftly rounded up the conspirators, including the mayor and the Richardson family, and took them into custody. As they were reading the conspirators their rights, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. They had done it. They had brought the corrupt officials and business leaders to justice. But just as they were about to take the conspirators away, one of them spoke up. "You'll never take us down," the mayor sneered. "We have too many connections. We'll be out of here in no time." Detective Thompson just smiled. "I don't think so," he said. "You see, we have evidence. Lots of it. And we have witnesses who are willing to testify against you." The mayor's smile faltered, and for a moment, Detective Thompson saw a glimmer of fear in his eyes. But then, the mayor's expression hardened again. "We'll see about that," he said. Detective Thompson just shook his head. "I don't think you understand," he said. "You're going down, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." As they took the conspirators away, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and satisfaction. They had done it. They had brought the corrupt officials and business leaders to justice. But as he was walking out of the location, he was approached by a mysterious figure. "Detective Thompson," the figure said, "you've done a good job, but you're not done yet." Detective Thompson turned to face the figure, his eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" he asked. The figure smiled. "There's more to this case than you think," he said. "There are more players involved, and you're going to need to be careful if you want to take them down." Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he realized the truth. The case was far from over. There were still more secrets to uncover, more conspirators to bring to justice. He nodded, his mind already racing with the possibilities. "I'm ready," he said. "Let's do this." The mysterious figure nodded and handed Detective Thompson a folder. "This contains information about the next level of the conspiracy," he said. "But be warned, Detective, the people involved are powerful and will stop at nothing to keep their secrets safe." Detective Thompson took the folder and opened it, scanning the contents. His eyes widened as he read about the scope of the conspiracy and the people involved. "This is huge," he said, looking up at the mysterious figure. "But who are you? How do you know all of this?" The figure smiled. "I'm just someone who wants to see justice served," he said. "And I have my ways of gathering information. But I need your help to take down the people involved." Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with the implications of what he had just learned. "I'm in," he said. "But I need to know more about the people involved and what they're planning." The mysterious figure nodded. "I'll give you all the information I have," he said. "But you need to be careful. The people involved will stop at nothing to keep their secrets safe." Detective Thompson nodded, his eyes locked on the mysterious figure. "I'll be careful," he said. "But I'm not going to back down. I'm going to take down the people involved, no matter what it takes." The mysterious figure nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "I knew I could count on you, Detective," he said. "Let's get to work." And with that, Detective Thompson and the mysterious figure set to work, gathering evidence and building a case against the people involved in the conspiracy. As they worked, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and trepidation. He knew that he was taking on some of the most powerful people in the city, and that they would stop at nothing to keep their secrets safe. But he also knew that he had to see this through. He had to bring the people involved to justice, no matter what it took. As he worked, Detective Thompson couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden in the city. What other conspiracies were waiting to be uncovered? He knew that he would have to be careful, that he would have to watch his back and trust no one. But he also knew that he was ready for whatever came next. He was ready to take on the corrupt and powerful, and to bring them to justice. The game was on, and Detective Thompson was ready to play. As Detective Thompson and the mysterious figure continued to gather evidence, they began to uncover a web of deceit and corruption that went all the way to the top of the city's government. They discovered that the mayor, the Richardson family, and several other high-ranking officials were involved in a massive embezzlement scheme, using city funds to line their own pockets. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. They also found evidence of a massive cover-up, with officials using their power and influence to silence anyone who dared to speak out against them. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he read through the documents, his mind racing with the implications. This was bigger than he had ever imagined. He looked up at the mysterious figure, who was watching him with a serious expression. "What's the next step?" Detective Thompson asked. The mysterious figure nodded. "We need to take this evidence to the district attorney," he said. "But we have to be careful. The people involved will stop at nothing to keep this quiet." Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with the possibilities. He knew that he had to be careful, but he also knew that he couldn't back down now. He stood up, his eyes locked on the mysterious figure.
"Let's do it," he said.
Together, they made their way to the district attorney's office, the evidence in hand. As they walked, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and purpose. He was taking on the corrupt and powerful, and he was going to bring them to justice. But as they arrived at the district attorney's office, Detective Thompson's heart sank. The district attorney was nowhere to be found, and his assistant was acting suspiciously. "Where is the district attorney?" Detective Thompson asked, his eyes narrowing. The assistant hesitated, his eyes darting back and forth. "I don't know," he stammered. Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. Something was wrong. The district attorney was in on it too. He turned to the mysterious figure, his voice low and urgent. "We have to get out of here," he said.
"Now."
Detective Thompson and the mysterious figure quickly left the district attorney's office, knowing that they had to get out of there before it was too late. As they walked back to their car, Detective Thompson's mind was racing with questions. Who else was involved in the conspiracy? How far did it go? The mysterious figure seemed to sense his unease. "We'll get to the bottom of this," he said. "But we have to be careful. We're dealing with some very powerful people here." Detective Thompson nodded, his eyes scanning the surrounding area. He knew that they were taking a huge risk by investigating this case, but he also knew that he couldn't just sit back and do nothing. As they reached the car, Detective Thompson noticed a piece of paper on the windshield. He walked over to investigate and found a note that read, "Back off now, or you'll regret it." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he read the note. This was a clear warning, but he was not going to back down. He showed the note to the mysterious figure, who raised an eyebrow. "Looks like we're getting close to something," he said. Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew that they had to keep pushing forward, no matter what. As they got into the car and drove away, Detective Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He looked around, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. The mysterious figure seemed to sense his unease. "We'll be okay," he said. "We just need to stay one step ahead of them." Detective Thompson nodded, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. He knew that this case was far from over, and that they still had a long way to go before they could bring the conspirators to justice. But he was determined to see it through, no matter what. He was going to uncover the truth, and he was going to make sure that those responsible paid for their crimes. As they drove away from the district attorney's office, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and purpose. He was a detective, and it was his job to solve crimes and bring justice to the people. And he was going to do just that, no matter what it took. As they drove away from the district attorney's office, Detective Thompson's phone rang. He answered it, and a familiar voice spoke on the other end. "Detective Thompson, it's the chief. I've been hearing rumors about a big conspiracy involving the mayor and the Richardson family. I need to know if there's any truth to it." Detective Thompson hesitated for a moment, unsure of how much to reveal. But then he decided to trust the chief. "Yes, sir," he said. "We've uncovered a massive conspiracy involving the mayor, the Richardson family, and several other high-ranking officials. It's a huge embezzlement scheme, and it goes all the way to the top." The chief's voice was grave. "I knew it," he said. "I've been suspecting something like this for months. But I need you to be careful, detective. These people are powerful, and they'll stop at nothing to keep their secrets safe." Detective Thompson nodded, even though the chief couldn't see him. I know, sir, he said, but I'm not going to back down. I'm going to see this through, no matter what it takes. The chief's voice was firm. I'm behind you, detective. But be careful. I don't want to lose you. Detective Thompson smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude towards the chief. I will, sir, he said. Thank you for your support. As he hung up the phone, Detective Thompson turned to the mysterious figure. The chief knows about the conspiracy, he said, and he's behind us. The mysterious figure nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. That's good to know, he said. We're going to need all the help we can get. Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with the possibilities. He knew that they still had a long way to go before they could bring the conspirators to justice. But with the chief's support, he felt a sense of hope that he hadn't felt in a long time. As they continued to drive, Detective Thompson's phone rang again. This time, it was an unknown number. Detective Thompson, a voice said, you're getting close to the truth, but you're not going to like what you find. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. Who is this? He demanded. But the voice just laughed. You'll find out soon enough, it said. Just keep digging, detective. You're almost there. And with that, the line went dead. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he looked at the phone in his hand. Who was this mysterious caller, and what did they mean by "you're almost there"? He turned to the mysterious figure, who was watching him with a serious expression. What do you think that meant? Detective Thompson asked. The mysterious figure shook his head. I don't know, but I think we're getting close to something big. We need to keep pushing forward and see where the evidence takes us. Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew that they were taking a risk by continuing to investigate, but he also knew that they couldn't back down now. As they continued to drive, Detective Thompson's phone rang again. This time, it was a text message from an unknown number. Meet me at the old warehouse at midnight. The message read, Come alone. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he looked at the message. Who was this, and what did they want? He turned to the mysterious figure, who was watching him with a serious expression. What do you think? Detective Thompson asked. The mysterious figure shook his head. I don't know, but I think we should be careful. This could be a trap. Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew that they had to be careful, but he also knew that they couldn't ignore the message. As they approached the warehouse, Detective Thompson's heart was racing with anticipation. What would they find inside? As they entered the warehouse, Detective Thompson saw a figure waiting for them in the shadows. Welcome, Detective, the figure said, stepping forward. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he saw the figure's face. It was someone he had least expected to see. Who are you? Detective Thompson demanded. The figure smiled. I'm someone who knows the truth, they said. And I'm here to tell you that everything you think you know is a lie. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. What did this person mean? As he listened to their words, Detective Thompson's world was turned upside down. Everything he thought he knew was indeed a lie, and he was left wondering what was real and what was not. The figure stepped closer to Detective Thompson, a sly smile spreading across their face. You see, Detective, the conspiracy goes far beyond what you've uncovered so far, they said. It's a web of deceit and corruption that reaches the highest levels of government and society. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he listened to the figure's words. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "What are you talking about?" he demanded. "Who's involved?" The figure chuckled. "Oh, Detective, you're so naive. You think you're fighting against a few corrupt officials, but you're actually fighting against a system that's been in place for decades." Detective Thompson's mind was racing. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. A system of corruption that went all the way to the top? The figure leaned in closer, their voice dropping to a whisper. "I'm talking about a shadow government, Detective. A government that operates outside of the law, using corruption and deceit to maintain its power." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. A shadow government? He had heard rumors, but he never thought it was true. The figure nodded. "Yes, Detective. And you're getting close to exposing it. That's why they're trying to silence you." Detective Thompson's mind was racing. He knew he had to get to the bottom of this, but he also knew he was in grave danger. As he turned to leave, the figure called out to him, "Detective, be careful. They'll stop at nothing to keep the truth hidden." Detective Thompson nodded, his heart racing with anticipation. He knew he was taking a risk, but he was determined to expose the truth, no matter what it took. As he walked out of the warehouse, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He looked around, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. But he knew he wasn't alone. He could feel the eyes of the shadow government on him, watching his every move. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to take on the shadow government and expose the truth. Detective Thompson walked back to his car, his mind racing with the implications of what he had just learned. A shadow government, operating outside of the law, using corruption and deceit to maintain its power. It was a daunting task, but he was determined to expose the truth. As he reached his car, he noticed a piece of paper on the windshield. He walked over to investigate and found a note that read, "Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th and Main at 2 p.m. Come alone." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he read the note. Who was this, and what did they want? He looked around, but saw no one suspicious. He got into his car and drove to the coffee shop, his mind racing with possibilities. As he arrived at the coffee shop, he saw a woman sitting in the corner, sipping a cup of coffee. She looked up and caught his eye, nodding slightly. Detective Thompson walked over to her, his eyes scanning the room for any signs of danger. "Who are you?" he asked, sitting down across from her. The woman smiled, her eyes sparkling with intelligence. "My name is Rachel," she said. "I'm a former employee of the Richardson family. I have information about their dealings, and I'm willing to share it with you." Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he listened to Rachel's words. A former employee of the Richardson family, willing to share information? This could be the break he needed to take down the shadow government. He leaned forward, his eyes locked on Rachel's. "Tell me everything," he said. Rachel nodded, taking a deep breath. "It started several years ago," she said. "I was hired as a personal assistant to the Richardson family. At first, everything seemed normal. But as time went on, I began to notice strange things. Meetings in secret, whispered conversations, and large sums of money being transferred to offshore accounts." Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed as he listened to Rachel's words. This was getting bigger by the minute. "What else?" he asked, his voice low and urgent. Rachel hesitated, looking around the room nervously. "I don't know if I should be telling you this," she said, "but I think it's important. The Richardson family is just a small part of a much larger organization. An organization that has infiltrated every level of government and society. Detective Thompson's eyes widened as he listened to Rachel's words. This was it. This was the proof he needed to take down the shadow government. He leaned forward, his eyes locked on Rachel's. "I need you to come with me," he said. "We need to get you into protective custody, and we need to get your testimony on record." Rachel nodded, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I'm ready," she said. "Let's do this." Detective Thompson quickly got up and escorted Rachel out of the coffee shop, scanning the surrounding area for any signs of danger. As they walked, he quickly called for backup, requesting a team to meet them at the police station. Once they arrived at the station, Detective Thompson led Rachel to a secure room where a team of officers was waiting to take her statement. As she began to recount her experiences with the Richardson family and the shadow government, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and trepidation. This was it. This was the break they needed to take down the shadow government. But he also knew that they were taking a huge risk. The shadow government was powerful and ruthless, and they would stop at nothing to silence Rachel and anyone else who threatened to expose them. As the hours passed, Detective Thompson and his team worked tirelessly to gather evidence and build a case against the shadow government. They pored over documents, interviewed witnesses, and followed up on leads. But just as they were making progress, Detective Thompson received a call from an unknown number. "Back off now, or you'll regret it," a menacing voice growled. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed. He knew that the shadow government was getting desperate, and that they would stop at nothing to silence him and Rachel. He turned to his team. "We need to get Rachel into a safe house now," he said. "And we need to increase security around here. We don't know what they're capable of." His team nodded, quickly springing into action. As they worked to get Rachel to safety, Detective Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and purpose. He was taking on the shadow government, and he was determined to bring them down. But as he looked around at his team, he knew that he wasn't alone. They were all in this together, and they were all determined to see justice served. As they worked to get Rachel to safety, Detective Thompson received another call. This time it was from the chief. "Detective Thompson, I've received word that the shadow government is planning to take drastic action. We need to get Rachel into a safe house now." Detective Thompson's eyes widened. He knew that the shadow government was capable of anything. "I'm on it, Chief," he said. "But I need your help. We need to get Rachel into a safe house, and we need to do it now." The chief nodded. "I'll send a team to meet you. We'll get Rachel to safety, and we'll take down the shadow government once and for all." Detective Thompson smiled, feeling a sense of hope and determination. They were going to do it. They were going to take down the shadow government, and they were going to bring justice to the people. As Detective Thompson and his team worked to get Rachel to safety, they were met with a surprise. The chief had sent a team of heavily armed officers to escort Rachel to a safe house. But as they arrived at the safe house, Detective Thompson noticed something strange. The officers seemed nervous and on edge, and they kept looking over their shoulders. Suddenly, one of the officers whispered to Detective Thompson, "We've been compromised. There's a mole within the department." Detective Thompson's eyes widened in shock. A mole? Within the department? He quickly looked around, trying to see if anyone was watching them. But everyone seemed to be going about their business as usual. The officer leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "We need to get Rachel out of here, now. It's not safe." Detective Thompson nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. He quickly called for backup, requesting a new team to escort Rachel to a different safe house. As they waited for the new team to arrive, Detective Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He kept looking over his shoulder, expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows. Finally, the new team arrived, and they quickly escorted Rachel to a new safe house. As they arrived, Detective Thompson breathed a sigh of relief. They had made it, but as he turned to leave, he noticed something strange. A small piece of paper on the ground, with a message scrawled on it. "You'll never win," it read. Detective Thompson's eyes narrowed.
Who had written this?
And what did they mean? He quickly looked around, but saw no one suspicious. He shook his head, trying to clear his mind. He was getting paranoid. But as he walked away from the safe house, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, and that the message on the piece of paper was more than just a threat. It was a promise. It's been 2 years since Detective Thompson took down the shadow government. The city is still reeling from the aftermath, but slowly, it's beginning to heal. Rachel, the whistleblower, is now living in witness protection, her identity changed and her location unknown. But she's finally able to live a life free from fear. Detective Thompson is still on the force, but he's been promoted to a higher rank. He's still fighting for justice, but now he has the resources and the support to do it. The city's government has been overhauled, with new officials and new policies in place. It's not perfect, but it's a start. As for the shadow government, it's been dismantled, its leaders brought to justice. But Detective Thompson knows that there are still those out there who would seek to undermine the system, to gain power and control. He's vigilant, always watching, always waiting. Because he knows that justice is never truly won, it's only maintained. And so, the story of Detective Thompson and the shadow government comes to an end. But the fight for justice never truly ends. It's a never-ending battle, one that requires constant vigilance and dedication. But for now, the city can rest easy. Justice has been served, and the shadow government has been brought to light.